So dating apps, very broken in a lot of different ways, but they can actually still work. And I'm just going to rank what I think are the best ones from my own experience, from talking to others, the percentage of men versus women on them, and just the ability to actually go out and meet someone on them. But real quick, right before I do that, I want to show you a site which is pretty useful. It's called SimilarWeb, and basically it just shows you the most popular apps in your country. You can go by dating apps. And this is important to know because anything past, I would say, the top 5 are almost always dead. So if you hear somebody saying that a certain app is like worth checking out, go validate it on the site first, because it's most likely, not worth checking out in your country because nobody uses it. But at number 3, I'm putting Bumble. And this is virtually the only app not owned by Match Group. As you see here, it's basically they own everything. So you would hope that they're not aggressively as monetized as those ones listed, but obviously that's not going to be the case. This is the woman message first app. So it's entirely in their control, for better or worse. Generally worse, obviously, because you're like, it's kind of hard to talk to that many, but it skews a bit younger, mainly 20s to early 30s. There's about 2 guys for every girl, which isn't great, but it's way better than Tinder's 3-to-1. The paid version isn't that great. Basically, the only reason I'm putting it at number 3 is because it is like quite popular and the match quality isn't that bad. But basically, it's just a good passive option, but definitely not worth spending the most time on. Number 2, and the most popular app, is Tinder. And let's start with the bad side of it. So there was a big survey and they found out that half of users aren't interested in actually meeting somebody. That is wild. So, people just they're using it for attention, basically, if we're going to be honest here. 75% of them are men, which is even higher than I thought. It's full of bots and scammers. Unfortunately, that's they all are, but I feel like it's worse there. And it's a huge numbers game, which is the best and worst part of it. And I explained this in a recent video where I broke down the numbers a bit more, but basically it takes on average 167 right swipes for a match, and then 10 matches on average for a date. And I see guys all the time being like, oh, I installed the app, I got 5 or 6 matches or whatever, and then they didn't lead anywhere, and it just frustrated me, and then I uninstalled it, and being like, that's normal as fuck. You are just doing exactly what's expected. The results that are happening are completely expected, and that's the average. So half of guys are actually have to get even more. So that is the good part about it, because if you are able to pay, and that's where if you can't pay, don't use Tinder, or honestly most of the apps. I'll get to that in a little bit. But if you can pay, that's 20 minutes a day swiping. On the low end, that's well over 10,000 right swipes a month. You're going to get dates from that. You can just power use it. It's not exactly ideal. I wish that, you wouldn't have to just brute force it, but, you have to play the game. Again, dating apps are kind of broken. And this is just kind of how you use them to your advantage. Because, you can't just casually swipe unless you look really, really good, really good or something like that. But anyways, that's it. So that's why I put it at number 2. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. And lastly, I'm going to cover some of the others in a moment, but my number 1 recommendation is Hinge. And this is the app that's meant to be deleted, as their marketing slogan says. Basically, the male to female ratio is about the same as Bumble, which isn't bad. Second most popular app in the States, dating app. It's number 1 in Canada and the UK. And basically everything across the board is better than Tinder. But the difference is Hinge doesn't have the ability to swipe that much, to, just power swipe, as I said, because you have to parts of their profile, or you have to comment on it, and that just takes way longer. But the reason I'm putting it at number 1 is because this is offset by the quality of matches. So you do have to still pay, but if you're able to get the paid version, you get unlimited likes and comments or whatever. And yeah, I don't know if there's harder. It's harder to find the exact data online for Hinge, but basically, I know 100% without a doubt, it's not 10 matches on average for a date. So you're going to do better on it. The only other thing that's not ideal is it has a 6-picture minimum, which is hard to get. I mean, it can be hard to find 3 good pictures. Hopefully you can manage. You're only as good as your worst picture. And yeah, 6 of them is a bit of a grind to get it. But otherwise, hopefully that's manageable for you. So what if you can't afford to pay? And what about the other apps that I didn't mention? Well, if you can't afford it, I mean, ideally get 2 or 3 apps at least. It's going to take longer. Lower your expectations. I know on dating apps, you have to lower your expectations even more. But it will require more time and it will require more patience. In terms of the other apps and everything, there is Facebook dating first that I have no experience with. I have no idea if this is ever successful or if it's often successful. It seems very hit or miss. And I feel like if it can work, it's with an older crowd, because I know I'm 35 and I don't think a lot of people my age even use Facebook anymore. So maybe if you're a boomer or something like that, eHarmony and Match, not really going to be worth it for the price. I know a couple people who successfully use eHarmony, but they have 10 years on me. So it's probably like Facebook dating that it's only worth it if you're a little bit older. And then there's Badu. I literally don't know how to pronounce it. I know it's increasing in popularity, but I have no experience with it. OkCupid, Plenty of Fish. Those were the standard go-to options back in the day that I used a lot. Coffee Meets Bagel, I don't even know what that is. Basically, it all comes down to what I said earlier. Go for the top 3 by popularity using SimilarWeb. And then if you're wanting to try some other ones, whatever is the option at number 4 or whatever is the option at number 5. And honestly, even those 2 probably aren't worth it unless you have at least 1 million people in your metropolitan area, basically, because you need to actually, there's just a huge drop off. But that's it. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if certain apps have worked for you or what haven't, or what are just complete crap and that you don't recommend or anything like that. But otherwise, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.